Number 8. Vera Mole. In August of 2015, a misunderstanding during a bungee jump led to the tragic death of 17-year-old Vera Mole. The Dutch teenager was going through the final checks prior to jumping from a bridge platform in Cabezon de la Sal, Spain. Her instructor had reportedly told Mole that it was important no jump, but due to his poor English, Mole understood now jump. The teenager thus went off the platform before the bungee cord was properly secured and fell to her death. In the incident's aftermath, the operator came under fire both for organizing jumps without proper licensing and for failing to secure permission for the jump from Mole's parents, since she was underage. In its most widespread definition, bungee jumping involves a person jumping from great heights while connected to an elastic cord that then recoils and sends them back upwards. It's regarded as an activity in the line of extreme sports. Bungee jumping's attraction stems from the feeling of free falling as well as from that of the rebound, as the jumper continues to dangle until all the kinetic energy is spent. The origins of this activity can be traced back to the land diving practiced by the people of Pentecost Island in Vanuatu. It's a test of courage and a rite of passage into manhood, in which jumpers launch themselves from tall wooden platforms with vines attached to their ankles. However, unlike modern bungee jumpers, the young men of Pentecost Island intentionally hit the ground. Still, the vines absorb enough force that the impact isn't lethal. Number 7. Erin Langworthy. When she was 22 years old, Australian Erin Langworthy was visiting Victoria Falls in Zambia. She wanted to embark on a grand adventure to mark the end of her years at university. Langworthy bungee jumped from a bridge above the Zambezi River. As she was free falling, the woman felt a powerful shock rippling through her chest. Her bungee cord had snapped. She plummeted more than 130 feet into the crocodile-infested waters of the Zambezi. She instinctively brought her arms to her face prior to hitting the surface of the water. This had likely saved her life, as it protected her head from striking the water. Langworthy struggled to breathe and felt as if her lungs had caught fire. She battled to keep her head above the surface, since her legs were still tied. The woman eventually clung to some jagged rocks, and one of the operators rescued her from the water. Langworthy had miraculously survived both the immense drop and the Zambezi's waters. She suffered extensive bruising, was coughing blood, and had to be put on a ventilator because her lungs had collapsed. The reason for her accident had simply been wear and tear in the cord, as thousands bungee jumped from that bridge every year. Number 6. Michael Lush. In the mid-80s, the BBC's The Late Late Breakfast Show was known for putting on some of the most daring stunts in British television. This included extracting someone from an exploding chimney via helicopter, attempting a car jump a staggering 230 feet, or a stunt involving a human cannonball. All of these resulted in serious accidents, but the most dramatic incident was the death of Michael Lush in 1986. He lost his life during rehearsals for a stunt that involved jumping from an exploding box, suspended from a 120-foot crane. Lush took a devastating fall after the carabiner clip that attached his bungee cord to the crane sprang loose. He died instantly of multiple injuries. The show was subsequently cancelled, and the production team was accused of multiple safety violations. One test revealed that 14 times out of 20, the carabiner sprang loose under as little weight as that of a bag of sugar. The first modern bungee jumps took place in England in 1979, and they were performed from a suspension bridge in Bristol by members of the Oxford Dangerous Sports Club. New Zealand entrepreneur AJ Hackett is credited for modernizing and popularizing commercial bungee jumping throughout the late 1980s and into the 1990s. Nowadays, some variations of bungee jumping entail practitioners jumping out of helicopters or hot air balloons. One particularly unusual jump was performed by Durban man Carl Mosca Dionisio, who leapt from a 100-foot tower using a cord made exclusively out of 18,500 condoms. More conventional bungee jumps can be performed anywhere in the world, with bridges, dams, or suspended platforms being the preferred spots among jumpers. The equipment used across most variations is a safety harness and an elastic shock cord made from multiple latex strands. Number 5. Casey Holliday. One bungee jumping variation involves the use of a trampoline. The jumper is secured in a harness and the bungee cords connect with 2 points of attachment, usually high poles on each side of the trampoline. The bungee cords tighten and the recoil allows for a higher jump. During a Caribbean cruise in 2019, 22-year-old Casey Holliday was severely injured while jumping on a bungee trampoline. The cords he'd been attached to snapped from their attachments in the ceiling and he took a hard fall, shattering his pelvis and dislocating his shoulder. The Mariner of the Seas, a vessel belonging to the Royal Caribbean Company, was heading to the Bahamas. Holliday's injuries were so severe that the ship had to dock in Miami. His long road to recovery involved the use of a walker and a wheelchair. In the aftermath, he reportedly sued the cruise operators for $10 million. Number 4. Miriam Kandashvili and Goga Gletiani. In 2012, Miriam Kandashvili and Goga Gletiani attempted to bungee jump as a couple from the university's Macau Bridge in Tbilisi, Georgia. The jump from almost 140 feet ended in tragedy for the couple, both in their 20s. They leapt from the bridge while hugging, and as they reached the point of recoil, the rope snapped. Kandashvili died on the spot, while Gletiani passed away in a hospital later that day. The reports are unclear on what had caused the failure, but it seems that they were using climbing ropes instead of bungee cords, which simply collapsed under their combined weight. As with any jump from great heights, there will always be a risk of death when performing bungee jumps. The cord, harness, or the point where the cord is attached to a platform may fail. At that point, the jumper helplessly plummets towards the ground or water below. Death is the most likely outcome in such situations, but should the jumper survive, they might still suffer broken bones or organ damage to a life-altering extent. Severe injuries may also occur if the jumper's body or neck becomes entangled in the cord. The sudden rise of intravascular pressure during bungee recoil is often associated with eyesight damage. The recoil may also cause whiplash so severe that in at least one case, it broke the jumper's neck, rendering them a quadriplegic. Additionally, researchers also linked bungee jumping to increased stress and decreased immune function. Number 3. Cleo de April. While visiting her aunt in Spain, 23-year-old Cleo de April decided to explore a bungee jumping site in Granada. More than a dozen thrill seekers were taking part in the jump. After attaching the harness to de April, her instructor turned to tend to the others. The young woman jumped without being told to and fatally struck a bridge below. Her lifeless body dangled in midair for nearly half an hour before rescue services got to her. 2 men from the adventure company operating the jump were arrested for manslaughter in the aftermath. The crux of the matter was a miscalculation of the rope's length. However, there were also reports that de April's lead instructor had been drinking earlier that day. Today's topic was requested by Instagram follower @TheRealMillsap. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below, or follow us on Instagram and reach out to us there. Number 2. Rishi Bavaja. It was July of 2009 when British man Rishi Bavaja bungee jumped from a platform in Phuket, Thailand. Bavaja took a hard fall that nearly cost him his life. According to Jungle Bungee Jump, it was the first accident that the company had had in 17 years. It seems that Bavaja didn't respect the instructions he'd been given and jumped feet first. He panicked on the way down and kicked his cord harness away. Bavaja struck the water at an estimated 80 miles per hour and sustained the type of injuries commonly associated with a car crash. He only survived because he'd struck the water with his chest instead of his head. Bavaja did, however, suffer bruising all over his body, a torn liver, a ruptured spleen, and collapsed lungs. He spent a month in a Thai hospital before it was deemed he was well enough to return to the UK. Surviving bungee jumping is a combination of personal responsibility and using the adequate operator. It's probably best not to jump if you're suffering from heart conditions, high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, epilepsy, or neurological diseases. Make sure to properly check an operator's reviews and history before signing up for the jump. Even if you choose not to, there are some ways to tell if you're dealing with a professional. They should adequately describe the bungee jump, including its risks, so that you may benefit from informed participation. Miscalculating the length of the rope has been the cause for a number of accidents. You should be weighed beforehand and there should always be another crew member making the checks alongside your lead instructor. Number 1. Tourist in Macau. An unnamed Russian man, reportedly in his 30s, was left dangling nearly 200 feet in the air after jumping from the platform of the Macau Tower. AJ Hackett, who we've mentioned earlier on our list, was the bungee jumping operator. He revealed that a safety system had become activated as the tourist was lowered to the ground after his jump. The man was stranded in the air in temperatures of about 42 degrees Fahrenheit for over an hour. The jumper was rescued by firefighters using a ladder. He survived his ordeal but was rushed to the hospital showing signs of hypothermia and complaining of numbness in his legs. Thanks for watching. Would you rather bungee jump with an operator that's known for safety violations, or try to be a bullfighter for a day? Let us know in the comments section below.